this topic today. I think. I
It's
think.
yeah, it's for real.
Yeah, it is for real. Hey. Um. Okay, I see we're live. Um. So, in the interest of time, let's just do those intros. Gil. So I'm Tiwam Daung and I'm back on the camera today. Welcome. There's no one online yet, but welcome. Cause I know like the video when the video gets saved, like all the prelim things are also there. So I just want to cut it out today. So Ngozi, you want to say hi?
Yay! Hi. I'm Ngazi. I'm joining in from Gaborone in Botswana.
Yes. So this is our what, fifth day?
It's our fifth day. Yes, our fifth day and our fourth chapter.
Fourth chapter, and yeah, we've been slowly getting into it, slowly doing the things, and I was just saying now that it's probably gonna be like it's gonna be a difficult chapter to speak about, this one. So the fourth chapter is titled, I just need to find my note. Okay, knowing peace and end to stress. And I was just saying that this is going to be like a difficult chapter to talk about because of everything that everybody is going through. Just, I mean, it was difficult for me just getting out of bed this morning. I literally got out of bed like 10 minutes ago. So it's just like, yeah, let's, show up, Dimelo. But yeah, do you have anything intro-wise, Ngozi, to bring in?
I think no, just to add on to really mine is just to add on to what you were saying about this talking about stress possibly being quite an intense chapter as well for me because it was very like personal and also when we spoke this morning and I think a little bit yesterday we spoke about how intense this process is and how kind of emotionally demanding it is. But also I think how valuable it is because doing the work can be stressful because you're touching on things that you may not have to look at necessarily on a daily basis.
Yeah,
it was quite a dope one, a dope chapter, another dope chapter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree totally about it being like a bit, on the high level, but necessary, totally necessary. I feel, honestly, for myself, I feel like it's stuff that I tend to run away from. That other day when you asked me, what do you do to like keep the stress level, to just handle everything? And when I was giving an answer, but when I was actually thinking about it, I was like, actually, I don't really, consciously spend time trying to not deal. It's just like, because everything's just everything, I'm just like, okay, let's deal. And that dealing is how I then, just try to, put everything together, right? Yeah, so I wanted... Yeah, please come in.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, sis.
No. Okay, so I wanted to just start off with the piece by Alice Walker that Bell Hooks has in the beginning of the fourth chapter, and it's called The Temple of My Familia. So I'm just going to read it short, luckily today. So I'm just going to read it. I'm just going to read it out. So Alice writes, "It is against blockage between ourselves and others, those who are alive and those who are dead, that we must work. In blocking off what hurts us, we think we are walling ourselves off from pain, but in the long run, the wall which prevents growth hurts us more than the pain, which, if we only bear it, soon passes over us, washes over us, and is gone." Yeah, so that speaks about those walls, guys. Those walls. I mean, and those memes. I'm not letting my walls down. Whoever wants to come in must climb. Yeah. So I mean, I do that a lot. I put up like tons. Wall of China, many levels,
Yeah.
10 stories high. You know, Lolo, hello. I see you there. Also
Hi,
see
Lolo.
Dineo's online and Julia. Welcome, guys. Um, but yeah, so I mean, and Alice says here that those walls, in our thinking, we're thinking that we're protecting ourselves, but in the long run, they are worse than the pain that we're trying to, not feel. So yeah.
I feel like I can relate to that because I can't remember where I read it, but I read something similar that said something about the door to the heart, and that the heart has the heart has a door, and if you close and lock the door, thinking that you're protecting yourself from experiencing pain, you're actually also shutting yourself off from experiencing joy and love because there's only one door, and if the pain can't get in, then the love and the joy can't get in either.
Yes.
So
So it's
quite
like a tit for
a hectic
tat.
thing.
Yeah, it's like a tit for tat. I mean, and this takes us back to Brene Brown's work on vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yes, that word. So it takes us back to that, and how, if you don't want to deal with the stress, the pain, the confusion, you then closing yourself off from the love, and all the other things, all the good things that come with just dealing. Ugh, dealing is like my favorite word these days. But yeah, from just having it together and just being okay and being healthy, right? In your spirit, in your work, in everything that you do. So I don't know if you had
It's
notes.
true.
If you had notes from the.
Um, from the text,
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of notes from the text, and I think it's interesting, especially from the reading that you did now, from Alice Walker's, the excerpt from The Temple of My Familiar,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially where she says, but in the long run, the wall, which prevents growth, hurts us more than the pain, which, and this is the dopest part for me, if we will only bear it, soon passes over us, washes over us, and is gone. And I love that because it speaks specifically to the fact that our emotions and situations, they're temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is temporary, and I know that I have a habit of either hanging on to things or suppressing things or trying to ignore them, sometimes, or not addressing them. Really beautiful thing to realize and understand that these things are transient. They pass by. You're happy today at 10 p.m. I mean, you're happy today at 10 a.m. At 4 p.m., maybe you're a little bit irritable. Um, by 11 p.m., maybe you're feeling calmer and a little bit sleepy. But all of these feelings and all of these things, they change and they pass over us. And like Alice says, they wash over us and they're gone.
Yeah.
And so I think any attempt that we make to try and hold on to anything, at least, stress-wise, emotion-wise, I guess it's like a futile exercise.
Right. I don't want to get into, but I also feel like anything that you try to hold on to, period, like people, things, feelings, I mean, yeah, I'm just one of those, like, just let things go, just let it go. If it wants to leave, just let it go. But also just don't hold on too tightly to anything. But the other day, just to the first, just building on the first thing that you said, the other day a friend of mine posted a status and asked, how are you most problematic in a relationship? So what are the things that make it hard for people to date you, right? And I I was just like, oh, that's an easy question. I'm going to answer this one. And then when I tried to answer it, I was like, yo, and then, but then with time, I then was just like, actually, I avoid conflict, right? Yes, I like avoid conflict. And when I spoke to another friend of mine, Nomsa, she was with us the other day. She was just like, girl, I do the same thing. I am just one of those people that's just like, okay, let's not fight. Let's, and obviously we then don't get to deal with whatever needs to be dealt with. And then I read somewhere else that when you try to avoid conflict, I wrote it somewhere. I just read somewhere else that actually avoiding conflict is a trauma response, right?
Yes.
So you're like, you're just like trying to box it. Like, okay, so this is like, it's too much stress. I can't deal with this right now. So let's just try to like deal with it as calmly as possible, or just park it, right? So you're not, I just lost Ngozi. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm just gonna see if I can call her back. But yeah, that's what I read about conflict. That if you don't want to deal with things, right, no matter what the issue may be, if you are just like, no, don't raise your voice, or if you're raising your voice with me, it's just too much. It's actually you responding to like a trigger, like a trauma. It's traumatic. I don't know if it's the dopest part for me of the opening quote. Oh yeah, hey Duru. So I'm just gonna read a comment while I'm waiting for Ngozi to come back. Duru says that the dopest part for me of the opening quote from Alice Walker is that it is against blockage between ourselves and others, those who are alive and those who are dead. Wow, like my ancestors perhaps. Ngozi, I am also comforted by the reminder that pain or discomfort is only temporary. Dumelo, I'm also a person who avoids conflict. Interesting to learn that it's a trauma response. Thank you for sharing. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Dudu. Guys, please try to keep me calm. I panic. So I'm trying to like get Ngozi back on the call, and I don't know, I think something is up with the internet. And that might mean that I'm gonna have to do this alone, which I don't really want to do. But just moving on a bit. I mean, it's hard to talk about a chapter on stress right now. When I'm constantly getting like texts and calls from friends and family that are dealing with like a lot, mental health issues, financial issues, and I just wanted to read something that I read from the book where Bell Hooks says that many black people, especially the underclass and working poor, feel as though they are powerless to change most things in their lives, and yet they have to survive, right? They have to find wherewithal to get up in the morning and make it happen. The whole process is profoundly stressful. So right now, I mean, the whole world is under pressure, right? It's not just us. It's not just us that are like stuck in our homes. It's not us that are worried about the next paycheck, how that's gonna work out. Small business owners. It's also the responses. I mean, I'm thinking about the responses of like the police, the military, government generally. I mean, there's been like a lot of backlash where people are coming in and saying, the government doesn't love us, the government isn't looking out for black people, because woo, she's back. All right. Yes, please come back into the light.
Sorry about that. Our internet just went down here for a bit.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm happy to have you back. I am so happy. I was just like, I was on the verge of panic. But, I was just talking about what is happening, how hard it is now to deal with everything and to talk about this chapter as well. because of everything that's happening and everything that everybody's going through, and being worried about the next paycheck, being worried about how we're gonna be feeding ourselves, and also dealing with like the with ourselves, with like our mental health, and being in small spaces, and being with a lot of people in the same space, all the same space all the
Yes.
time, and because when I was living in Joburg, I literally had this feeling that the majority of people that I know, and I was hanging out with a lot of artists, that because we were going out all the time, we were literally like every day there was an event somewhere, even if it's public, intimate, but there was something happening somewhere, and we were always out, right? And I was just thinking, when do we get, because I'm from Pretoria, and Pretoria is just chilled, and I was just like, when do we get to just sit and not go out, and sit with ourselves and just be. So I've been like talking to a lot of friends of mine in Joburg as well. They're just like, oh my god, I can't. I need to go dancing. I need to go listen to live music. I need to just go out, smoke. I need to, that type of thing. So it's just,
Yes.
it's a lot.
It's really interesting because I was chatting on the phone to a friend of mine yesterday who, and we were just talking about this whole self isolation on account of COVID. And he was also saying, he's like, but Ngazi, how long have we been asking for the opportunity to just sit still and rest? Like, how long has everybody just been like, but when will we sit still? Like, when will we just have a chance to sit still? And I guess Mother Earth was like, okay, the time is now. This is the moment.
Yeah, let's do it.
And so it and I know it's quite stressful, and the experience isn't the same for everybody. And so yeah, it's just, oh gosh, sorry, I'm just gonna go. Yeah, so it isn't the same for everybody, and it's a little bit more stressful, I suppose, for some people than others.
It isn't.
So yeah, like I guess that's what it is. A moment to just sit still and be still, and it can be quite stressful simply because we're not used to it. Motion hides a lot of things.
Yes. I love that. Motion hides a lot of things, right? So when we're busy, when we're just like, I'm busy, I'm doing this, then we avoid having to deal with whatever else needs to be dealt with.
Yes.
So just going back into the text, but I want to just first just thank Dudu. Thank you so much for holding me. When the technology went down, I was just like panicking, and then she was just like, "Chill, girl, chill. We're here." So yeah, just going back into the text, and can we just deal with the money issue? Because Bell writes, we need to know how to eliminate stress around the money in our lives. Guys, I don't know, right? And then she goes into how when we are stressing, we'll do things like what do you call it? Shopping therapy? Is it retail therapy?
Retail therapy, yes.
Yes. Retail therapy, and some of us do it online, some of us do it, we go to the mall. I have this thing where I will go into like a shop that I really like, right, which is usually a shop that I can't really afford, and I will buy like 5 items, and like 5 items is like my yearly budget in that shop, right? And then I will get home and I will try everything on, and then I will take it all back, like everything.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes, because like by the time I get home, right? So like when I'm doing the shopping, I'm just like, I'm stressing, and then by the time I get home and I've tried everything on and I've seen looked at the price tags, I'm just like, actually this is a lot. It's not gonna work out, but then the stress is not there anymore. But that time I'm just like, okay, I'm rational now. I'm back into I'm thinking, let's now then pack them nicely and take them all back. It's okay. Yeah.
And it's interesting that because that also kind of speaks to like an avoidance issue, because I know my avoidance activities regarding stress tended to include things like, I'll say, substances,
Mm.
or smoking a cigarette, or kind of binge watching Netflix for the longest time.
Yeah.
Which again are kind of, I mean, they're also kind of costly, right? I mean, alcohol is not necessarily as expensive as a pair of shoes, but it doesn't necessarily alleviate some of the stress. And I love how Belle also, in the same chapter, she talks about how she got advice from a financial advisor who's also a Black woman, who could understand, what were the kinds of things that were stressful to her, including being in stressful work environments, having to deal with having to deal with systems, that were
Racial.
by their very nature, oppressive to her body, to her intelligence, to her sense of self, and her emotional stability. Which is like really important as well. Like, do we understand our budgets? Do we understand our money? Do we understand how we spend?
But are we also talking?
When we're feeling a particular kind of way.
Sorry, I'm sorry about that. I was just gonna say, yes. Do we understand? The limitations that we have when we are spending all this money, or but also, are we talking to the right type of people? Are we talking to people that understand, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's like a highlight for me, that are the people that we are trying to get to help us get out of the situations, do they have our interest? Are they do they have our interests at heart?
I'd like to share, if I may.
Please.
Just on that, there is a woman who she's, I was going to say she's based in South Africa, but she's not. She's based all over the world. She works from all over the world, but she is a woman of color from South Africa who does really interesting work in the realm of financial literacy. She examines our feelings and emotions about money, and she also kind of delves into our kind of family history and understanding of wealth and some of the fears that we have. Her page is the Wealthy Money page. Just kind of like a shout out and a resource as well for the ladies who are listening. And her name is Vangile Makwapa. So she does some really interesting work in that space.
So it's the Healthy Money page.
Wealthy
money.
Wealthy money.
Okay. I wanted to make a note, but I hear that it's just too loud. It might be like. So I'll write a note later on. Oh, you can do it. Please do it for me.
Sure, I will.
Thanks. So
Uvangile
works with helping women dealing with their money, the Wealthy Money page. So that's something that I definitely want to check out. But going back to the whole what we use to just get into a space where we're okay, because I feel like retail therapy is just it's a side thing. I do it and then I am able to come back and I control. But then there's things like wine and smoking and I mean, we're all guilty of that. I found that like just dealing with other things, because I stopped drinking because my youngest child like needs a lot of attention. Like, he's just like a very needy child. So because of that, then I couldn't drink. But it was very difficult in the beginning, right? But because I used to have like a case of wine in my house, like literally a case all the time. So now I like drink, but I'll like drink when I'm out when there's other people that are around, and I see Nomsa is around and she knows we do that hunters when I'm at her place, because I know there's a community that can like look out for atang and stuff, but then in the absence of substance, then it becomes it becomes a bit much, right? Because then you have these breakdowns. In front of my kids, I'll have like a breakdown, right? Not in front of them, but I'll have a breakdown, and then they'll walk in, and then I will stop crying. And then, because in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you crying in front of these kids? They don't deserve this. They shouldn't be dealing with this. They shouldn't be, But then I don't know. I wanna just maybe ask that question that, like, in like right now, actually, right, in the absence of substance, how are we dealing? How are this? What are the healthy ways in which we can deal with whatever we're dealing with, like, without. Do you want to maybe bring in the comments from Dudu?
Please, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you'd be able to give them a read, because I'm having issues with.
Okay, cool. Let me do that.
The page.
All right, cool. So she says first, like your friend, I too have been yearning, loving, crying for the time to sit still and just be. There's a part of the chapter which reads, when we feel that we can no longer assert meaningful transformative agency in our lives, when we experience ongoing impending sense of doom, constant anxiety and worry, stress has invaded my life and taken over. I'm closing the quote. And then she goes on to say, I relate so well to this. That was me by the end of last year, and it was creeping in again before this lockdown. Right? So, like, that sense of impending doom, and then you bring, like, the sounds. Because that's how I'm feeling. Because everybody's just like, the world is ending, guys. We don't know if we're gonna be. But it's also bringing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that doom, right? It's just
it's dope, and it's interesting, I think, as well, particularly in this time, because so I'll just read what one of the things that Bell Hooks writes. She says, I find too that a large portion of my income is spent on telephone bills. Living in an isolated setting, I often rely on talking to friends and comrades for psychological support.
Yeah.
But to eliminate one area of stress and creating another is problematic. So it's really interesting to note, particularly now, because now I can't just go down to the bottle store and buy a bottle of wine. Now I can't, because, it's not allowed. It's illegal to do that.
Yeah.
And so sitting with the stress, it can be quite difficult. I snapped at the little one this morning, actually. I was like, I can't talk right now. I need you to just sit there, okay? Just sit there for a bit. I can't talk right now, because I know that this morning for me particularly was quite hectic. But I had to go back and be like, Ish, yo kid, I'm really sorry. I'm a little bit stressed this morning. I'm a bit irritable, so I was short with you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. He's like, oh, it's okay, mama. Because, kids, tend not to, like, they sometimes don't take things so hard.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Because all the stuff that, the kind of the gunk and the things you don't want to look at that you cover with the substances, or the kind of unhealthy emotional things that we kind of cling to and practice over and over again.
Yeah.
It's hard. Can't do it now.
Hard.
Can't do it in this setting.
No, we can't. We can't. So I want to just go back to those comments. I don't want them to clog up. So Turu also says, a month or so before the lockdown, then I made the decision. Oh, so this is coming from the previous comment. So she says,
okay, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. Then I made the decision to. Oh no, she made a decision to leave a job, a client that was a stressful situation for her. And then she notices that just from making that decision to leave and acting on it, it freed her a bit. So did you see my response? She was like, left a job, and I was like, and then at the end she was like, her feeling, leaving that situation freed her. And now she feels like less stress, less on her shoulders. So that's the other thing, the whole, We always think so there's this thing that when I started working, I was analyzing, right? And I was just like, so people get so I was thinking about getting a permanent job. I was like, so people get a permanent job so that they can get credit, right? And then you get credit so that you can buy that house that you never spend time on. You're only in your house literally over the weekend, and that's if you don't have a funeral or a wedding or something or church to go to. And then get the nice car that makes everybody put you on a certain pedestal. And then because you got these things, because you have the allowance to get these things and you got them, then you need to keep that job. So no matter how stressful the job is, no matter how, then you will need to stay in that job so that you can pay for the credit, that allows you this lifestyle that you can't really enjoy. So I was just like, oh my God. Right?
It's a cycle. It's a whole cycle.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And I mean, by just saying no, actually, I'll just like... And it's not easy because nobody will just say, I've been driving a car and I'm just going to take a taxi. And it's okay. Right? Because in all the times that I've taken a taxi after I've driven a car, it was not by choice. I promise you, it was not by choice. It felt good, yes, to like be around people and be like, oh, this is nice. It's so much, it would be costing me so much more in petrol and but it was not by choice. I would have not, made that decision consciously and said, I'm just gonna sell this car because it's like too much for me to pay off. And I'm just gonna, get back to the little, and because I'm not gonna die if I use a taxi, it's just normal. But because society knows you, your aunt is gonna call and be like, oh, when she sees you, like, oh, so where's your car? How? What's going on? Or maybe you're the one that drives your grandmother to the clinic every month, and then now your grandmother has no transport, type of thing, right? Okay, so I want to just bring in that other, unless you have anything to add.
No, please go ahead.
So I want to bring in that comment, the other comment from Dudu. She says, talking about money, right? I have a really fucked up relationship with it. Poverty mentality. I always believe I'm broke. And when I do have money, I am bad at managing it. So I feel, being a mom, like the woman Bell Hooks speaks of, black women are major providers in black households, whether there is a man present or not. I am that woman too, and I have a lot of stress about providing and being able to. So these are things that I am trying to work on.
Yes. She raises, Dudu raises such an important point, especially, I know that the three of us are single parents, essentially, and as much as we receive some support, maybe emotionally or with watching the kids from our parents and our families, a lot of the responsibility still falls on us. And it's not just necessarily being responsible for our kids, but it's also like sending money ko lapeng, or sending money ko lapeng, or doing just taking on an immense amount of responsibility, and I know like Bell Hooks speaks about it in the chapter as well, specifically where she speaks about the fact that we take on so much. We take on so much that we don't even know how to sort of enforce the boundaries and just be like, no, actually, I can't do this. No, I can't go to the 3rd funeral this month. I can't go to the 5th baby shower this year. I can't. And it's interesting to note as well that it also impacts our health, hey?
A lot.
It impacts our health. Like, we get so stressed that the stressors then, whether you get a breakout or whether you have like a chronic thing, maybe endometriosis is something that you struggle with. High blood pressure it's literally like the stress disease, like it's the stress disease, and a large number of women of color are dealing with these actual physical ailments because we're dealing with so much and we don't know how to get rid of the stress.
And we're just holding in. We're holding it in. Like we hold. It's like, yeah. I mean, I just shared on because I'm also reading Kevin Kwan's Crazy Rich Asians, and I was reading it this morning, and I just shared on the page before the broadcast that there's a quote. So there's this lady there who's married to this, she's like from like a very rich family, and she's always had it together. She's like, she looks great, she always, she's like the princess, right? And then she's got this model husband who's from the military, has an 8-pack, looks great, so they look good together. But then this one time she finds a text on his phone, and it says, there are no kids here, ne? It says, miss you inside me, right? So did you hear that? Did you get that?
She said what?
So the text says, I miss you inside me, right? So she opens her husband's phone by mistake and then finds that text. And then she doesn't raise it, right? She keeps it, like ignores it, and because it is threatening the fairy tale of a life that she has. But then she goes and searches his luggage, searches his phone, calls in at work all the time, like every 30 minutes, calls him to just ask him anything, like something silly, so at the same time, so this is like she's so this is being narrated while they're sitting on a table, with the entire family, and they're complimenting her and the husband, right, and their life and everything. And she's just like smile and wave, like keeping all of that, to her. She's not even saying to the guy, bruh, I saw an SMS on your phone, what's going on? No, not even that. So there's that thing that so there's a part where Belle writes, she says, not being addicted to being tough and facing everything with no show of hurt or pain allows us to express disappointment, hurt, outrage, and be confronted. Bottling up emotion intensifies stress, right? So the more we keep things to ourselves and we keep them inside, and it's those walls that we started with, right? It's those walls, those building up those walls and saying, you know what, I'm protecting myself, and I don't want my business to be in the public eye. I don't want everybody, stepping into my business and things like that. I will deal with this, and I will deal with it myself in my own time, in my own way. Does not always work.
No, it's like torture. It's like you keep swallowing like a hot coal and thinking that you're gonna be okay. Like, it's not. I honestly believe as well, like, it's not sustainable, and it does become really difficult. It can be difficult, especially when and I know in that context as well, Belle was speaking about how her family kept saying that she was whiny. It's like, oh, why are you so whiny?
Yeah.
Why is it that when you're upset at something, you talk about how upset you are?
Yeah.
Because the idea is that we're supposed to be stoic, right? And we're supposed to keep our emotions under wraps and under control. But it's literally making us sick. It's literally making us sick emotionally, physically. It's not allowing us either to explore and express the fullness and experience the fullness of our relationships. Because imagine the character that she spoke about in Crazy Rich Asians. Like, how is she smiling and waving and feeling broken inside from not even like being able to address a text? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Like,
yeah, because
it's really, really difficult. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
No. I wasn't saying it. I was just agreeing.
And just another thing sort of on that, it's not in the same vein, but it's something that really, I think it was when Belle was talking about sort of thinking positively versus thinking negatively, and the probability of a positive outcome being more likely than a negative outcome. And she says that the desire to live well, she writes of that, she says, one of the sentences, we are not raised to believe that living well is our birthright. Yet it is. We have to claim this birthright. Doing so automatically creates a change in perspective that can act as an intervention on the stress in our lives. Accepting that we are entitled to live well, we feel empowered to make changes and to break with old patterns. This does not mean that we will not have to cope with difficulties that arise when we make changes. And then just it goes to Dudu's point where she writes, quitting stressful jobs is often easier to do than charting new journeys, finding different maps that, if followed, will lead us to those locations of wellness. And so I love that, because it's like living stress-free, it is our right. Like, we are allowed to live stress-free. We are allowed to live joyful, carefree, pleasurable, enjoyable lives. Like,
it's okay.
It's our right to.
Yeah, and it's okay to live such lives, you know? It's okay. Do you also get that that when you are, because the first thing that I saw, right, when we went into lockdown was memes where people were just like, yeah, where are those people that are like posting on yachts and posting their food and, you know, always traveling and all those things? And I was just like, why are you in people's business? You know, why are you like, let people live their lives, let them enjoy their money, you know, whoever's money it is, you know? Why should we always be like, no, you know, I have the stress, or I am dealing with this, and I am doing, no, like, let people, you know,
it's okay.
It's okay to just like, just allow people. I mean, I mean, it shouldn't be that we are even allowing people. It's their lives. You know, people should just live the way they feel is okay to live. They feel is okay. It's good. It's good for them. And this thing that we do, where we are, you know, we are making judgments, and we are, you know, trying to be, you know, over the shouldering people. You know, my English is not even coming because it's just such a thing for me. I'm just like, yeah, like, why? Because you get that a lot, right? You get that a lot where, especially in the family setting, where when you have just like removed yourself and are just doing the things because you deserve, you know, you've worked hard, it's been a good year, you've gotten your bonus, you've saved your money, and you are traveling, and you are just doing, and you're having a good time, and you are posting, then somebody will come and say, yeah, you know, people down here are, you know, they don't have what, and you are busy, you know, in Malaysia doing the things, and you're just like, guys, no, really.
It's such a tricky one, that one as well, for me as well. But like, I because I don't know, I'm not a, it's just a me thing that I feel like I'm not a big believer in like flaunting one's wealth. But at the same time, like, I don't have to do it then. Like, if I have an issue with it, then I don't have to do it. But someone else might not have an issue, so can they just live? Like you're saying, like, can people just live, please?
Yes.
And another thing about quarantine is there was another meme that was talking about how now everybody is a chef, and everybody has a YouTube channel, and everybody is now, you know, like, learning how to mend their clothes or design stuff. And I'm like, do you know what? Again, can people just live? If that is what people are finding to alleviate stress and create community in this time while they're alone, then let them do it. Like, what does it harm? What harm does it do? And people are allowed to live well and enjoy their lives, and so are you.
So all of us. All of us. And it doesn't matter what that living well looks like. You know, I don't think it should matter. I don't think we should be, you know, matching it up and saying, you know, this is what it should be looking like. Because a lot of us, and I know from personal experience with somebody very close to me, used to, for a very long time, compare herself with her peers, with the people that she went to school with the people that she went to varsity with. And she's in like a very competitive career, right? And she was like, yeah, but she could list literally people's achievements. This person is doing this, they're living in this place, they're earning this much, they're what. And I was just like, but how do you even memorize all of that? Like, where do you pop that in your mind, and then where do you have space to then do, what needs to be done for you, that is good for you, without putting it against somebody else's backdrop, without saying, okay, cool, I am here and this person is here, so I need to fill this space, right? So we tend to do that to ourselves. We tend to just put like unnecessary stress on ourselves because of what is out there, and what is, what we experience from the outside world and what is expected of us.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And again, like it goes back, like you're saying, to why are we being so hard on ourselves? Why are we comparing ourselves with other people? Because our life path and our life journey is not the same as the next sister's or the next person's. And yeah, we're all going to do things at different times, but it's stressful. Just that comparison with someone else, it's stressful. I mean, I remember it as well, when you're growing up and maybe your parents or your teacher will be like, oh, why aren't you like so-and-so's child? And that thing breaks you, like if you hear it often enough, it can be it can be painful to hear. And then we internalize that voice and then we keep doing it to ourselves. So it's, like, come sisters, let's just love ourselves and be kind to ourselves and be kind to each other. And it's okay to have fun. It's okay to enjoy things. Yeah. You don't have to be stressed.
We don't. I just want to go into Diru's comment, where she says, but I say this even though I quit the job, guys, but I just feel as though with a clearer mind, my business and dreams come to communication consultancy freelance while wait, I need to read that properly. But I feel as though with a clearer mind, my business and dreams, I think it's communication consultancy, right? Correct me. Yes. And freelance writing, I'll be able to provide by doing work that makes life sweet. That's that topic from yesterday. Yeah. I'm sometimes hit with anxiety of if I made a huge mistake by not seeking formal employment where being a mother who provides well is concerned. But the idea of a full-time job is but the idea of the full-time job heist, it's tantamount to being imprisoned to me. Yeah. So right now I'm praying for blessings of abundance on the work which I do that brings me joy. I pray the kids will be all right, and I want to be able to do things for myself, move out of the house, buy new clothes. But yeah, the means towards these ends, I really want to be through Nubian Seed, Wordsmith, and Roots Farm. I think that's the businesses that she's speaking. That she spoke about yesterday. So that comes to, and I know this is a tough one. It also comes down to sisters supporting other sisters in their work and in their pursuits. Being there, and holding those badges high and just being, supporting. I know I'm saying it's tough because I know the conversation around it, where artists will be like, man, your family will not buy from you. They'll want the freebies. They'll want, the free photo shoot. They'll just be like, no, or I'll pay you. And I have this friend, Jin, who does websites, and he is so clear. He's just like, bruh, if you think my work is worth 250 rand, then you better just go ask somebody else. He's just like, bro, I'd rather go hungry. Like, literally, he's just like, I'd rather go hungry, right, than do work that is not worth my time. My time, I have decided that this is what my time is worth, and this is what I am going to charge for it. So if you're not willing to pay for it, then cool, you can just go along. But we need to just like support each other. We need to, because like we were saying yesterday, the more sisters we see that are doing this and they're doing it wholeheartedly and they're doing it well, then the more it will inspire the rest of us, who are stuck in these jobs to, go out and just go out and do whatever it is that we want to do with our lives, that is outside the traditional sense of a job.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No, definitely.
Yeah.
There's one thing, a personal experience as well, that I wanted to share, like, that goes again kind of back to this thing of us supporting each other and us kind of remaining close to communities that are good for us. And this idea of, like, sometimes when we do our work and we go, like, we go to work, we have these jobs, and we tend, because of how stressful it is to do all of this, go to work, come home, tend to the children. After the children are gone to bed, you're spending time with your partner. After that, it's like, when do you have time, first of all, to yourself, and then second of all, to create community, or to be nourished, and to be nourished by other women? Because I found that there is a really powerful healing and stress relieving quality that comes from spending time with other women, who we share some experiences, or we have completely different experiences, and we can bounce those things off each other, and we can share. And it's super, I think it's also super important to make time for those things as well, and make space for those communities.
Without feeling insecure about it. So I'm in total agreement, right? And we were speaking about the tomboys, how we grew up, how both of us grew up as tomboys, and how at some point in our lives we were just like, it's just better to hang out with boys, because boys are just like easy, they tell you the truth, they don't go behind your back, they you know what to expect, basically. But as we grow older, you realize that actually, because of the shared experiences, because of all the things that bring us together as women, right? It's just so much better. It just feels so much more like home to just have that community and be at home, And when I said and being confident and not feeling, there's this train station nearby. I hope that's not like too loud. But I'm not being feeling insecure about having other women in your space, right? Because we have those things where people say, women won't, you need to be careful with women around, maybe like your stuff, your guy, your what type of thing. And I think those are like petty things, because if you trust your circle, and if your women are really there for you and you're there for them, right, then you won't have those, you won't be like, no, I'll open this chapter to them but not this chapter, and I will speak this to this one and I won't speak this to this one, and all of those things. But I really think these communities these communities are important. These sisterhoods are important, where we can just, as women, just be there for each other, right? Just be there for each other. Because also I've realized that the more, as I am growing older, that even the guys that I used to say, oh man, it's so much easier, I hang out with the guys, you realize that, oh my gosh, some of these guys are like doing the exact things that are like just so problematic. This guy's my friend, he's good, he's my friend, we've been friends for years, but he is so problematic. And when you raise those things, right, with them, then they don't take it so well. And then you just realize that, but if this guy is like this to this poor girl, or actually, I don't even want to go into that narrative because everybody plays a part in, two sides to a coin type of thing. But, woo, so difficult to deal with these things because yeah, you can't, it's not an umbrella, right? It's also not an umbrella. I can't say all guys, I can't say all women, I can't say, because we know how that goes. It's yeah, and I think maybe that's why more of us feel like we need to protect ourselves and we need to protect our space, because just because Ngozi is good to me doesn't mean that whoever is going to be good to me. And yeah.
No, but I guess that's the other thing, that like life is like one big unknown, like it's a big unknown, but it's also an opportunity. And I know for me personally, one of the things that I've found really helpful is like doing these affirmations that specifically speak to being safe and supported by life and by the universe, because the unknown is such a big source of stress and worry for me sometimes, you know, because I also feel like if I can't control every little part of my life, or if I can't control every little part of what's going on, then that also causes me like stress and anxiety, and that also sometimes spills over into some of my friendships, or my parenting style, or my relationships. And it's just like, you never know. But again, like Brene Brown says, it's like you never know, but again, you'll never know until you just open up and you do it and you see, and then you get burned. Then you're like, okay, so this is the boundary here, this is where I can't relate or engage here. But then with certain in certain spaces, then you open up, you become vulnerable, and you do land on a in a soft space or in a safe space. And it's such a lovely like experience and relief when that happens.
I agree. You never know when what is going to be good, so you just need to put yourself out there. And you know that whole once bitten twice shy thing. You want to do that, but then you're also just like, no guys, let me careful. Yeah, but how do you take away that careful thing? Because you're just always careful, right? If you're like once bitten. But anyway, I don't want to
but it's wise also, sister, to be careful, hey? Like,
right?
I honestly also believe it's wise to be careful.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like scared, but careful. Just, you step, you check, is the ground like
stable?
Is the ground safe? Is it stable? And then if it is stable, then you're like, okay, then you take another step. And then I suppose also that's how one builds trust, and that is how one builds trust and friendship and, like relationship and intimacy. And, girl, you don't run, you walk, Wawa.
Yeah, and I think also going back to that first chapter, working on the self, if you feel safe, then you won't have if you are a safe space first for yourself and then for others, then you won't feel like then everybody else around you or the people around you are out to get you. You won't, it'll be easier for you to say to trust and allow yourself to engage and be engulfed by all the feelings and everything that comes with that. So I don't want to go on further because we are literally like a minute in, like we've got a minute to wrap up. So I just want to say thank you again. Again, I am very aware that, even for me, it's tough to delve. The deeper the more we go into this, the deeper it gets, the more we introspect. It's hard work, right? But thank you for being here and being in this space. Thank you, Ngozi. Thank you, everybody that always comes through. Ooh, my messy little one is here. But yeah, say hello. But yeah, and he's got Anyway, thank you for that. I just wanted to throw in that there's like Brittle Paper has a Twitter talk, different times. Today it's at 5 p.m. on Twitter with Mukoma Wangugi, and the whole week, it's actually going on the whole week with different authors. So because reading is our thing, I just thought I'd throw it in there, and we're gonna try and make it as well. So if you can as well, we're just all trying to just keep ourselves busy at this point. Come along. That's it from me.
No, perfect. Thanks so much, Sister Melo. And also, I'm like really grateful for this. Even though it can be quite intense, I always feel so grateful and kind of energized after our chats, and our delving into the text and sharing experiences with each other. So thank you everyone as well for showing up, because that's like the biggest part of this entire process, is that we're showing up.
We're showing up. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.